Hello and welcome back, my partners in crime. Welcome back to another true crime. Now this is solved, and this case is going to have 3 different perpetrators in the same case because they're all linked. They're all linked, and the first perpetrator really is how the others were found from that, but they are all linked. Now, you know, there is a trigger warning that goes out with this case because we're talking about offences against children. We're talking about online offences, so cybercrime against young children. And we don't go into too much detail on the actual acts, but of course, you know, in the sections of law and different things that we're going to talk about, there's certain things that's going to be said that could be upsetting to some viewers. So if this case is not for you, there's plenty of more on Murder Analysed for you to watch, but I just wanted to put the warning out first with this one. So as I've said, these are 3 paedophile perpetrators here that have been convicted and are, or was, should I say, or are serving time in prison for the offences that they committed against these children. The 2 main perpetrators in this case are women, right? And I don't know how I can say it more clearly than I was going to call this, you know, anywhere and, you know, anyone anywhere can be a paedophile, because this is really true. We have this perception, don't we, that women don't harm children. That's what society believe. You know, women are meant to be, you know, caregivers, aren't they? You know, that, you know, this motherly instinct. You know, that's not always the case. You know, a paedophile can be a woman just as much as it can be a man. And so we have to get rid of this, you know, how we think about paedophiles. You know, the stereotype, you know, the dirty old man, or the man in the coat, you know, them sort of things, and them sort of things. Listen, these people don't look like paedophiles, because as I keep saying, what do paedophiles really look like? Really? And I think these cases are there to highlight, right? And this is why I've done these cases. They're highlighting to people that, one, online crime against children is on the up and has been, and as we become more and more, especially in this country where, you know, financial hardship is really playing a part in people's lives, and we've had lockdown, which also played a part in the crime rate of children going up, really, this sort of crime rate. You know, because as you'll see, the only motive for these crimes was monetary, and because they are perverted individuals that chose to do this to their children and sell the content of what they was doing to their children to other paedophiles online. So it's really important that as we look at this case, you understand these are just a couple of many, many thousands, millions throughout the world that are women paedophiles, and that can cause damage and sometimes go under the radar a lot of the times because they're women. Because they're women. And this is what this case has to highlight, is that anyone, anywhere, can be a paedophile. So really what sort of broke this case, and how the other 2 have come into this case, is the main case of this Jodie Little. Now, she was a 30-year-old, originally I think from Huddersfield, and she had moved to northern Cyprus, and I love Cyprus, you know, I'm in Paphos quite a lot, I love it. But they'd moved there, she had moved there, I think with her family, and this sort of case stems from her case. Now, she is convicted, and she did get, I think, 12 years and 4 months for what she did to children, and then sold that content online to other paedophiles across the world. So this is really important, because this brings in different forms of law. This brings in different, you know, statutes and stuff that we can use now. So if you commit a crime other than in the United Kingdom, but you are downloading and sharing this material out across the internet, you can then be prosecuted as an English citizen. Really, you will be prosecuted in this country the minute you hit this soil. You will then be arrested and charged with them crimes that you have caught, you know, done either in Cyprus or any other country. Luckily for this case, the Cypriot government were really, really interested in taking this woman down offline, and also getting her out of their country, because they don't want a paedophile like her in it either. And so they, because she outstayed her or overstayed her visa requirement, they then deported her back to the UK, where she was arrested and subsequently charged with the crimes that I'm going to talk to you about now. So this Jodie Little, she admitted, I think it was 13 counts actually of sexual abuse to a boy under the age of 13, 3 counts of distributing indecent photographs, and also placebo photographs. So it's like she had put these children in certain photographs and then done things, but it was like a placebo, but it was still classed as indecent images of that child. So there was that as well. Also child publishing and obscene articles describing child rape, publishing an advert offering the sale of the child sexual abuse, conspiracy to sexually assault a boy under the age of 13, publishing adverts. She was also touching a boy under the age of 13, causing the child to engage in sexual activity, a child under the age of 13, sexually assaulting a girl under the age of 13 by touching. Now, all these offences were committed on this website, right? So she's had this website, and it was an adult escort website, right? So this is her sort of character anyway. So but what she done is she used that adult website then to sell other services, but also on the darker, web, to then sell these images and also this content to other paedophiles that were looking for that. So she was advertising that within these websites and on this dark web. That's what she was doing, and she'd done that for about 3 years, I think. She got away with it. Now, she used this online name, I suppose, is Devil Bitch 666. Good name for her, really. And Queen of Taboo. So it's showing you her mentality, isn't it, by the names that she chose. The names were to attract a certain sort of person, right? Like Devil Bitch 666. Well, 666, it's a numerical thing for the devil, I suppose. So there could have, I mean, listen, this woman, right, deliberately set this up to make money from children and herself, right? And listen, she's an adult, and if she wants to go on an adult site and she wants to do whatever she wants to do on there, that's her choice. But she stepped over that line. She crossed, didn't she, that boundary, when she then started to, maybe she wasn't making enough money, I suppose, doing it herself. But the minute she then started to bring these children in, of course now, right, this internet's lit up, isn't it, really? Because there's that many of them out there that are trying to get images and videos and anything they can to do with children, and her money started rolling in because of the content then that she was putting out. Now, when you think about it, really, when did she think she wouldn't get caught, or did she think that she'd got away with it so long the Cypriot government hadn't pulled her up on it? Because I don't think they knew, because it was a legitimate site, really, an adult site, and then she was using them dark webs, and she was using encoding and different things to send it out. She was quite a clever girl when it came to that. But as I've said, the police now, and we've got task force now, and we've got lots of different agencies now that are continuing to look online for these sort of people doing this stuff, and they have to hunt the dark web, which is a terrible job, isn't it, when you think about it. They're hunting this online content, in this dark web, for these sort of people. And when they come across not just one woman but 2 women in this, then they start then to build up an investigation of who now is buying this content. And that's really how this case then broke. And I think even up to today there would be more cases coming up in relation to this one case that they broke of Jodie Little. I think it was the National Crime Agency that they passed intelligence via their international staff. Now, as I said, you've got staff all over the world, and you've got, this National Crime Agency is really good because they know what's going on out there, right? They just know what's going on out there. You have people like evil people like this, and you know, who do terrible things to children, and they are desperately trying to stop. And as more and more as they're getting bigger and the crimes actually are increasing, lots and lots of police forces and other things all over the world are coming together now in hope that they can stop these sort of predators. So this is sort of how this case broke. It was through them. They then contacted the Northern Cypriot police in that area of where she lived, and then from there they went. As I said, they deported her only, and they would have in the end, because we would have done an extradition, or we would have waited for her at some point to fly back into this country before she can be arrested. But they deported her because her visa was already up, so they didn't renew it, so she had overstayed her welcome. So it was one way of getting rid of a paedophile and a pervert like her out of their country, and then allowing us in this country to arrest her the minute she steps off a plane. Now, the Section 72 of the Sexual Offences Act 2003, and it's litigation which allows British nationals to be prosecuted in the UK for offences committed overseas. Now, we've had this before with other cases of paedophiles that have done acts online, and we've had some terrible ones, haven't we? But this is this statute that they use. This is the Section 72 of the Offences Against Sexual Offences Act 2003. It's a really good, and it does help protect children, because a lot of these perpetrators like this used to be safe because they committed the crimes outside of the UK. But the internet has changed all that, hasn't it? You know, when you go online, you can go anywhere. Like this video is all over the world, and hello everybody. But that would be the same as what she was trying to do. Okay, she's trying to have an audience that are paying multiple payments to see these children being abused by this woman. I don't know that could, because of the case is anything to do with children like this. We don't know if it was her children or others. It possibly was her children that she was using, but it could have been others. We don't know, because that is really, you know, closed really, and also to protect the children. So we don't know, but whatever children she used, she was trying to make money out of them. So this law that has been used now for quite a few years is a really good law, because a lot of these perpetrators want or felt really quite safe before. They could do things in other countries, but felt safe to keep coming back here and live normal lives, then go back and do what they were doing. That's no longer the case. You will be prosecuted if you do something online or you do any crime abroad. The minute you step back onto this turf, our turf in the UK, you will be prosecuted. Now, the NCA operations manager, I think Jason Booth at the time, had said, you know, that Little was only reason for doing this was financial gain. You know, she just did it for the money. Like, sold her soul to the devil, really, didn't she? Really, but that's why she done it. And her crimes, he said, were you know, utterly abhorrent, which they were, right? They were, and any crimes against children are. But the thing is what he also says, which is more worrying, and I've said this in the beginning, that these crimes are now becoming worse, more of them, multiples, because of the money that they can make online by doing this. And sometimes the risk of getting caught outweighs the money. Do you see what I mean? They will take the risk, and let's be honest, some of that stupid, they don't care, do they? She was living a lifestyle that she wanted, and she was using children to get that lifestyle. But they're saying that's the only reason. But the thing is, she is a paedophile, right? She is. So yes, she done it for money, but she is a paedophile. It's in her to do that, or else she wouldn't have done it. There's other ways to make her money. She was selling herself online. She just wasn't making enough. But then to turn your attention to children, right, there has to be more than just the money. So yes, I agree with him that she did do it for the money. I believe that. But she did it because she was a paedophile and thought it was all right. to do that to children and sell to other paedophiles, to share and distribute that sort of, you know, crime is disgraceful. But she is a paedophile, and this is what I keep saying to you: women are paedophiles just as much as men. Sometimes they're even worse. So now this brings us on now to this Christine Callahan, right? Again, linked to the same crime, because when they find one, they found the other, and then they found the paedophiles that were buying all this stuff. Now, Christine Callahan, again, is a 33-year-old, or was at the time, in 2019, when she was, you know, found out from this sort of investigation that they were having. One of about 500 to 700, actually, people that was looked into, and subsequently there's so many people involved in all these cases. I would be here for a year just discussing this case, and every paedophile and every pervert that tried to do something on these sites. That's how bad this is. So I've highlighted the 2 women and the 1 paedophile because they're English and they're easier to find a lot about, to highlight this case. Now, this Christine, she was 33 and she used Skype. Oh, for Christ's sake, she used Skype. So she sent to fellow sex offender, this Dean Petley, 30, horrific footage, right? Horrific footage of children being sexually abused. Horrific. And he was buying it, and she was producing it. I mean, these people are absolutely disgusting, aren't they, really, when you think about it? Sometimes I don't even know half the time I do these, but it's really important that we get these cases out there so people really understand what's going on out there in the cyber world, which in reality for these children is reality, isn't it? It's their reality, it's their real world where they're being abused. So yes, it's cyber crime, but it actually happened in their real time, their life. These poor children, it's just terrible. So I think it was November 2019, this Callahan from this Bexhill-on-Sea in South Sussex. Now, I think a lot of these come from Sussex in different places. There's a lot of cases that come out of there for some reason. Anyway, she was admitted distributing category A live stream videos, distributing category B indecent live stream videos, and 2 counts of causing, inciting a girl under the age of 13 in sexual activity. That's what she was charged for. I'm going to tell you now, she got 6 years. Not enough. It's just not enough, is it? What are we saying to these people, you know, that do category A and category B, you know, abuse on children, selling it online, they're under the age of 13, and you think 6 years. Oh, listen, let me know what you think about this, because I'm absolutely disgusted. But this is our English court system, as I keep saying. It needs to be reformed, because they need to come up to date now with the, you know, cyber crimes that are happening. We have to have some deterrent, don't we? 6 years. Alright, she's going to be on the sex offenders register for the rest of her life. What does that mean? She's already destroyed kids' lives, and I think she was doing this for a few years, actually, a good few years. So, you know, it's I think about 3 years as well she was doing it for. So she affected these kids' lives for 3 years in such a terrible way. Sold images of them, you know, videos of them being abused at that category, and we give her 6 years. It's a bloody disgrace. So, again, from Jodie Little's case, there was things, I think, of this Dean on there as well. I think there was some, I don't know if they could prove it so much of him, but I think they did in the end. They got, because it was really encrypted, the stuff that he had been sent from Jodie Little, really encrypted. And so he got time in prison for that, and we'll go over that in a minute, his case. Then I think he was also linked then to this Christine's case, because he was one of them, of the paedophiles that were, again, having conversations with her about buying these images and these videos, and also telling her what he wanted her to do to abuse his children, and film it, right? So you have a woman, this Christine, that is willing to do what other paedophiles are asking her to do, while filming the abuse of these children and then selling them the content. And I think what sealed the deal for him was that on some of these encrypted content that was being sold, and a lot of the times on the computer when you're doing it, your face can come up in one corner, on Skype, and that was recorded, and so they had a full frontal view of this man, also of this man describing what he wanted to do to these children, or her to do for that. And so that's really the evidence. All the evidence they needed is when you can get into this encrypted stuff, you can look at the material, what's really there. The images then are perfect for you to see, one, what's going on, but also who are participants in this abuse, and that's how they got him on that as well. So he had charges from the first one and imprisonment, and then charges from the second girl and imprisonment for that as well. So we'll go over what he got now. So I think with this Dean, he first he went on Jodie Little's site. Now he paid £750 for this adult site. Paid one of them, I think, £750 from January 2017 to February 2018 for sexual abusing of 2 children, right? Telling them what to do. Now that woman was Jodie Little, who used online usernames such as the devil bitch and all this sort of stuff. Now she was jailed, as I said, for 12 years. Now this Dean, was an automatic engineer, so a car engineer. I think he was like a mechanic. And he paid the second woman, which would be Christine, right, £2,285 over 3 years to watch her sexually abuse young girls. And so when they got Little, right, they then got into her database and her encrypted stuff that she's trying to hide, found Christine, and also found this Dean on there, plus many more. So this is how this case sort of broke. So listen, this Dean did, this Petley, he did admit to 11 counts actually. So it's 11 counts including 2 counts of conspiracy to sexually assault a child under the age of 13, 3 counts of intentionally encourage or assisting, right, or assisting the commission of an offence, and 6 counts of making indecent photography or photographs of children. So the NCA said that he was living in Lamington at the time of the offences, although the court now has his address in Liverpool, and he was sentenced, I think, on November the 8th, 2019. Now, the National Crime Agency became aware of this Little's investigation, as I say, because of what they'd been researching theirself, right? Because you have lots of people that have to sift through all this stuff. Now, the officers and stuff that do this, they usually work for about 2 years, if that, in this area, and then they have to take a break. Now, they have to take a break because the stuff they see is so bad that it can really destroy your mental health. It destroys, I think, any knowledge, I think it would destroy your soul. I think that's what I'm trying to say. It would destroy your soul to have to look at this stuff if you was not a paedophile, someone that would enjoy this sort of content, the harm to children and the distress and the horror that these people must see is terrible. It's terrible, undescribable, I think. And so I think that the job they do is amazing. These people, and the officers in lots of police forces that now have certain departments that have to deal with this, because these crimes are so vast, there's so many of them, and protecting children from this sort of crime is now becoming overwhelming for all agencies, to tell you the truth. So it's really important, I think, with this, is that if you believe or you see anything that you don't think is right when it comes to a child, and that's, you know, a lot of people think, oh, I don't want to say anything just in case. You should say, right? You should say, because if you're wrong, you're wrong. If you're right, you could have saved a child's life. Literally saved a child's life. These children were lucky. Were lucky because they was found, you know, really, and then they was kept safe from harm from these sort of paedophiles. But when you think about people like these women, right, this Jodie and this Christine, take a good look at their picture. Have a look. If you saw them in the street, or they asked them to, you know, there's your neighbour and minding your kids and this, that and the other, they haven't got paedophile wrote across their head, right? They just haven't. You know, they live in a world that is not what we would call normal, to think that doing this sort of thing is alright. But they don't look a certain type, and they are women, right? They are women. Even him, this Dean, this 30-year-old man, really, car mechanic, you know, that's what he was. That's what he did. He didn't stand out, did he, as a paedophile? He just didn't. So when people say, oh, he's a paedophile, he looks like a paedophile, well, what really does a paedophile look like? Because these are all paedophiles, these three that you're going to see. And do they really look like paedophiles? No, they don't. And do we know what people are doing in their homes with their children? No. So it's really important that we support the police and every effort the police are making. And if you feel that there's anything wrong in anyone's household, or with a child, or if you're a school teacher and you're picking something up and you're not feeling comfortable about a certain situation, then you should report it. You should report it, because we have to keep our children safe. No longer are the predators just going to pick your kids up from the street, or, you know, about the stranger. These paedophiles, these two women, knew their victims very well, right? They knew them. Who would have thought that they would have done such a crime? So we're no longer looking, are we, and talking to our kids about strangers. Are we really? We're now looking and talking to our kids about online danger. And it's really important that we continue to talk about it, these cases, and open up, and to really understand that a paedophile can be anybody, anywhere, at any time. Someone that doesn't look like a paedophile is. These were. I'd like to know what you think about that. I'd like to know whether you think, what you think about women paedophiles. Do you believe that there is loads of them? Because there is. The statistics show it. Why do we think women do it? I think women do it because they're the same as men. We have the same mindset. There's no difference between us and men, really. It's a myth, I think, that women are more nurturing, more caring. This blows that out the water, doesn't it? All these cases we've been doing on women paedophiles. Listen, if you're a paedophile, you're a paedophile. That's it. It's in the mind. It's born in them. They enjoy it. They don't give a shit about these kids, whether they're their own or not. They don't care. So it was done for the money on all accounts, right? Apart from the bloke buying it. He was buying the content. He was buying the content. The two that were producing the content were women. Women paedophiles. Doing it for the money. No, they were doing it because they enjoyed it. They enjoyed harming their children, and they are paedophiles. That's what they are. So this Little had many customers, and this Dean was just one of many of her customers, and let's be honest, it's an absolute bloody terrible situation, isn't it? But that's the reality of what we're dealing with in today's world, right? Multiple clients this woman had, and as she'd gone on and on and on, they would have grown and grown and grown and grown till you've got thousands of them, right? And then where would it have stopped? Do you know what I mean? What would have, you know, what wouldn't have she done for the joy, for the, you know, the fame, because that's what she thought she was. You know, people love me, they, you know, no they don't, these are perverts, and you're a pervert and you're selling them something that they need, right? That's really what it come down to. She thought that she had this adult website and was making loads of money and her life was good, but children's lives weren't good. I'll tell you that now. But in the screenshots and conversations of the second woman, which is this Christine, you know, it was, as I said, full facial images, full content. You could see everything, hear everything. This man was banged to rights. Actually, all of them were banged to rights, really. And, you know, so we've got one at 12 years, 4 months, one at 6 years, and just over 10 years he got. Just over 10 years for the first. But then don't forget, when he was then in prison on that sentence, then the issues with regard to the case of this Christine Callahan had come up, and so he would have then also then been sentenced for his crimes in that. They were bad, his crimes in that. Now listen, they've said, you know, that the spokesman said about him, you know, that what these kids were, you know, endured was unthinkable. But they also said about him was that he was definitely doing it for sexual gratification, right? He was telling this woman what to do with these children. He really enjoyed what he was watching and telling her to do, taking the power over these children. Did he abuse anybody else? It's unknown, and I haven't really looked into that because this case is massive on its own, because there's so many more, but because I think it's between about 500 and 700, and still going on, still looking into other people and other customers from these two women and what they had been doing. But I just wanted to do this case, and I wanted to highlight about this case because it's really important, as this crime rate is going up, that we have to think that, you know, to protect children is everyone's responsibility. You know, listen, when you think that these people had such a close relation, these two women had such a close relationship with their children, how could we have stopped it? How could it have been stopped? I don't know. I just don't know, because this is one of hundreds, thousands of these sorts of cases, and it's difficult. You know, if they are looking the part and acting the part out into the real world, but in their home behind closed doors, until these children are old enough to actually report it, or, you know, it's sometimes too late, isn't it, for the abuse on these children to make a difference and for these people to get caught. So it's really difficult. But if it's online like this, cybercrime like this, sooner or later they are caught, sooner or later, and let's hope it's sooner than later for many of these perpetrators that are still to this day, you know, every second of the day there is a child being abused online. There is, and it is being distributed and put out everywhere on the dark web, and it is encoded and, you know, sold and swapped and spread out and distributed to everybody probably every second of the day. It's really unfortunate that we don't have as many convictions as we'd like, but all I can say is when we actually get a bloody conviction, that we should be giving these people really harsh sentences. You know, 6 years, 10 years, 12 years, it's not enough, is it? Because once a paedophile, you know, always a paedophile. And you're going to have these do-gooders, and well, I'm going to have them, that's going to come on and say, oh, you can reform them. You cannot reform these sort of paedophiles. Actually, you can't reform any paedophile. So I don't even know why anyone's even thinking about it. You just bloody well can't. People have tried it and it hasn't worked, right? It's born in them. It's in them. Listen, we've got to stop these paedophiles, right? We really have, because this is a real issue here. Now, the I think it's the NSPCC spokesman, he said about, you know, these sort of crimes, is clearly becoming so vast that you have these people like this Dean Petley who really fuels this industry. You know, we need to, if we can stop the paedophiles, we can stop them from distributing or from buying them or from doing it. You know, what's it? You know, it's like, you know, demand, isn't it? There's a massive demand for this sort of stuff. I just don't know what we can do. To tell you the truth, the more of these cases I do, I think the worse it's getting, to tell you the truth. And I'm telling you everything that's going on in this country at the moment with, you know, the cost of living going up, electricity going through the roof, crime rate is going to go up anyway, but also this sort of crime will go up, right? Because if people think, oh, it's all right to use your children, right, for financial gain, because they know so many paedophiles and perverts are out there that would buy that material, right? You know, it's just going to get worse, isn't it? So I don't know what to do. I don't. All I can say is, and I've said this before, our children now, these early years of their life, set these kids up for the rest of their life, right? How their personality is going to be, how they're going to get through life, are they going to be achievers, will they be able to learn? But if we are abusing these children so young now, online, by people that actually know them, what chance, really, have these kids got? What chance have they got? And when would it end for these children? When's the end result for these children? If you're in a family home and you're being abused like this, when will it end for them? It won't. It's only ever going to get worse, because these people have got the mentality, the greed, you know, they've got no care for their own children or others, that they would do this to them. No care at all. It's really going to be a worry for our society, you know, in the long run. It really is. So child protection is at the forefront, really, to making our society a better place. We have to make sure that we secure these children and continue to search, continue to do this job and put awareness out there about these crimes that are so bad. Yes, they're terrible to listen to, I know. It's terrible. But if we don't say it, we can't sweep this under the carpet. You're not doing these children, or the children that are still being abused every day, not only in this country but across the world, like this, you're not going to do them any good. But if we put the awareness out there, if we talk about this issue, if we put pressure on businesses, on companies, on governments, on you know, online providers, to make sure that this content doesn't hit these sites, you know, for people to be easily got. Listen, you can't just go on Google, right, and type in, you know, something and bring up this stuff. These people are searching for it. The people that are making it are hiding it in the dark web. There's no excuse, right? They're searching for it. You've got to search for it and find this stuff. But it's so really the only people that can do this are governments that are going to put pressure on the providers, you know, internet providers, to make a more secure place that where this doesn't happen, right? Not secure for them to upload their material, their graphic indecent material, but to make it so difficult that they can't. And if they try to, it's immediately, right, flagged up, and then they're checked out and are prosecuted. That's the only way to go. Us as single individuals in society can only put pressure on governments to put pressure on other people to stop this happening. We can't do it alone, but we can't also not talk about it. We have to talk about it. We have to know it's going on, admit it's going on, for us to make a change. So listen, thank you for watching. Until the next time, bye bye.